With the recent advertising and promotional campaign of the Prehistoric Zoo, with its 3 new carnivores, everything was going swell. The media attention on the front pages might have toned down a little bit, but the audience attendance was higher than ever. There were so many different and awesome creatures on display in the zoo, and not even all of them dinosaurs. In fact, some of the more popular animals were the calancan, the woolly rhino, and the mammoths, and they were not dinosaurs. It proved that mankind could appreciate all types of animals from the animal kingdom, as is evident by other non-prehistoric zoos still being a fun dating spot or family outlet for a nice relaxing day. For a few children, the prehistoric park was actually a little bit scary. Many of the dinosaurs could seem a bit frightening, even though the prohibitors made sure everyone was safe. And even taking the prohibitors out of the equation, the dinosaurs still loved their new homes. The herbivores could be seen grazing in the sun, while the carnivores strolled around in a leisurely pace. Things were good, and the park staff would keep it that way. The discussions on the next creature to be added to the park actually reigned on for a few weeks now, without them coming to a unanimous decision. Since the earlier mentioned mammals were actually as popular, if not more popular than some of the dinosaurs, there were plenty of scientists who wished to add more. Then there were others who wanted to replicate a 3-dinosaur 6-month plan, but this time with herbivores. Though the 6-month plan would undoubtedly be very good for the park again, it would require a lot of planning on deciding what dinosaur species to add next. Therefore, the decision fell on adding another creature that was not a dinosaur. But this time, it would not be a mammal also. The creation and transport of the creature would still take a while, and thus the first creature that was introduced in the new year was the stygimolog. This tiny, hot-tempered dinosaur was first introduced during the safari tour days. It resembled in many ways a more aggressive-looking Pachycephalosaurus, since it used the solid bone dome on its head for similar purposes. The stygimolog, however, had some impressive-looking spikes at the back of its head, which could be used for both duels, fighting off enemies, but also to impress a potential mate, just like the antlers on the male deer. Due to the small size and their short fuses, they did require to live amongst one another and would be very agitated and fearful if left alone. Luckily, a handful were picked and moved towards the pen, and though initially not a lot of media attention was expected, they did receive their fair share of eyes on them. The sedation of the dinosaurs was a little bit of a hassle. None of the dinosaurs attacked the vehicles, even though they easily could, but their speed and size made them a bit tricky to hit by the rangers. Even though the rangers have shot at tinier targets like compies before, so some weapons training might be in order. They were especially popular with a younger crowd due to their looks, but also how animated their movements were. They were very jittery and jumped all over the place, full of energy. Many audience members of course hoped to see a duel between 2 or more of the stygimolog, but chances of that were very slim. And then it was finally time to welcome a new creature to the park, which once again was not a dinosaur. This time, it was a Dinosuchus, which literally translates to terrible crocodile. These were the forefathers of the alligators and crocodiles we know today. These giant meat eaters could grow up to be 12 meters long, but aside from their size, they were still quite similar to that of its more modern counterpart. Much similar to that of the megalodon, which in terms of looks are also very similar to that of a regular shark, but then just a lot bigger. In general, the Dinosuchus were very calm creatures. They would not waste energy if they did not have to. They were very fast in water, but quite slow on land, though one should not underestimate its ability to sprint for a short while. It was a very dangerous animal when it was hungry, since it could devour prey much larger than itself, even some bigger dinosaurs. The technique would be often comparable to the killing of a wildebeest, where the Dinosuchus would drag its victim in the water to drown it. And so extreme caution was advised when sedating these giant crocodiles. To make sure they would not initially show aggressive behavior, they were fed a lot before being released so that their digestive system would occupy their willingness to move. When they were pulled up by the helicopters, it was once again a spectacle to behold, as the crocodiles were hovering through the air. Not many people can say that they have seen crocodiles fly. Since in terms of behavior, but also needs, they were not that different from crocodiles and alligators today, their pen was especially catered to resemble a swamp area. Other creatures in the park that had this were the Spinosaurus and the Baryonyx. The giant crocodiles immediately felt at home in their new swampy area. Though of course with crocodiles, you can never know just by looking at them. One time they will lay still all day long, and another they'll be wobbling all over the place, going in circles. But eventually they too would lay in the sun to warm their body temperature, and at night and in the shade, there was often not much movement to be detected. And these creatures were, as expected, another huge hit. It did not matter that their looks were similar to that which we already knew, but it was the incredible monstrous size that made them special. Everyone wanted to see a glimpse of these magnificent creatures, and since 3 of the crocodiles were added, a nice view was almost always guaranteed. And with the news media and attention slowly continuing over the next weeks, plans had already been made for the next dinosaur, which would be another humble herbivore. There were no other dinosaurs that resembled the Stegosaurus in a way in the park, and thus the newest addition was the Cantrosaurus.